Welcome to the Priggya Arora Show, where we discuss law, entrepreneurship, and innovation with people who have been there and done that. My name is Priggya Arora, founder of PA Legal, an intellectual property law firm in India. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Günther Marten. He is a business and IP enthusiast, and he's also a permanent WIPO observer. Welcome, Günther, on the show.
Thank you, Priggya, for having me.
Great. So, Günther, though I know your story because we have had a conversation before, but to our audience, can you tell us your story and how did you become the person you are today?
Okay, thank you. I am from Hamburg University, graduated in law back in 82, 84. So there are 2 law degrees there. And soon after, I must say, I left Hamburg for good and I traveled a bit around the world. I was an IP lawyer in the beginnings in Munich, and then soon after a competition at the European Union, I joined the European Union as legal advisor in Brussels, and then I went to Alicante, where a decentralized agency exists, the European Union Intellectual Property Office, and then it became my passion to look into IP even further, now from the government aspect. And later I became diplomat in these IP matters, and my last post was in China, in Beijing, in the European Union Embassy for 5 years, where I traveled around all China for conferences, mostly a speaker on European IP. Government to government negotiations took place. GI agreements was being negotiated, and we had working groups and higher level groups with ministers of, all around IP, I would say. And it gave me an outlook on what is European IP, covering all of them, all of the aspects of the IP. As you know, in China, everything on IP is putting on the table, whether it is copyright, whether it's patents, whether it is trademarks, whether it is GIs, whether it is plant varieties or whatever. So I had to to acquire expertise a bit on everything in Europe. And now, after retiring as a diplomat, what do I do with my knowledge? Is anybody interested in it? I don't know. Well, I made a kind of trial and put out an IP channel on YouTube, which covers European IP, but in a way that it is not encountered by me in all the world where I have traveled around, which is linking, and I think your channel here is making a good complement to it, or a good fit at least, which is that the business and IP is very much linked, which is not very much foreseen by the people involved, because one are lawyers, which do not have much interest in other business than their own, which is their bills, and the other part is the business, who has not much interest in technicalities like IP. So this is for the guys which are there in the law guys, but not really the business guys. So they don't meet each other, although both is very much intertwisted.
Absolutely, Günther. So it's so interesting to know your journey, because I believe you have seen IP and the rise of IP in various past parts of the world. And then you're back again to Europe. And I think the journey would have been great, because though we have a similar base of IP in each country, still the national laws vary from place to place. So I think what a journey. And today, because we specifically speak about business and IP, as you just shared, so I think we should start with the policy level, like the policies which companies should have, and how business and having a IP policy in a company can be of advantages to the company?
Well, let me put a step back if you want me to make a broad approach on
Correct.
this. What we have, and I said about the intertwisting between the law and the business, we have the business guy, which is not much interested in one, and the law
Yes.
guy not much interested in the other, meaning that why should they be interested in one
Correct.
and the other? And I want to a bit more elaborate on that part. There is the actual situation today, I would say that you find it very current, that in a balance sheet, 70% of the assets are intangibles.
Correct.
And with intangibles, I would say it is about the goodwill, which is the big part of this intangibles, meaning that not anymore like 100 years ago, there was about assets, warehouses and cars and the production facilities, which made up all the assets on the balance sheet. It is more about intangibles. And these intangibles, if you have something which is making up some 70% of your balance sheet, you as a business owner, you should take care of it. Would you agree? So this is an important issue to be taken care by the business owner, but is often not very much regarded as what it is about.
Correct.
Now, let me put in a different example. If you as an individual are insulted by somebody you don't like, what would you do? Often you would sue them, right? Because it is, you are insulted, it is your person,
Defamation.
and you would insult it. Now, let's translate this into business terms. So when you have a counterfeiting agent which is against your products or so, that is a kind of insult onto your reputation. And making the link with 70% to your assets, well, that is something to be taken care of. It is, although not much seen by business owner like that, but it should be seen like that in order to get them on board and see the real danger and the passion they should have about the business.
Correct.
Now, the part where the business is important, the IP is important for business, that was your question about.
Yes.
Well, the first thing to think about the different jurisdiction, which you also mentioned, it is true that jurisdictions all around are different, but on the other hand, they have commonalities, as you mentioned, like, well, the TRIPS agreement, 1994, I believe, was adopted, but even before, we have the Bern Treaty, the Paris Convention, etc. So there's just 120, 140 years ago, where this has already been established.
Correct.
Lisbon Agreement on GIs. Well, there is a lot of international agreements, meaning that what is a trademark is seen a bit in the same way in China, in Argentina, or in Australia, although that is very far away one from the other, culturally and geographically.
Yeah.
Meaning that if a business owner, and that is the first takeaway, if a business owner want to know about IP, and it should know by now, it should have a curiosity to look into it. He should not be afraid to have the different jurisdiction being in the middle. If I don't want the business owner to have the 100% knowledge of an IP lawyer. That is not what they want. They will never achieve it, and they don't want it, or the other way around. I don't want the IP lawyer to exactly know how to function, operate a business from distance.
Okay.
But if the business owner, it gets a rough idea on the different instruments he has at his disposal in the IP portfolio, so to say, then he will be an equally important interlocutor. So be able to speak with somebody, an IP lawyer in China or in Argentina or in Australia.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be afraid of that every time he enters a new jurisdiction, something will change and he has to start all over from something different. No. The fact that the IP and business is going together is precisely these treaties we have on the international level. So it has been seen in the beginning that we need to harmonize IP law across the board, because otherwise we will not have any business. And now a second takeaway I think is important as well for the business owner. I'm focusing a bit on the business owner because it is important. Yes. I will come to the lawyers within a moment.
Yeah.
But on the business owner, it is important for them to understand that if he or she wants to have a business and to scale the business, to going up in the revenue stream and making more products, selling more products or services, then he should know this is only possible with IP.
Correct.
So it is a kind of a basic layer. On top of it, the business is being built. So if you take away the basic layer, then the business naturally will fall due to gravity. And why is that? Well, the consumer needs a certain identification with regard to the business if they want to repeat the experience of having bought something which is considered to be good. Now, that is the trademark, or that is the trade name, or the trade dress, or it is, well, all about IP at the end. If the same trademark you have, or name, not independently on IP, if the same name you use for producing your business, others can use it as well. So you find both names on the shelf, of which one is the good one. They show all the same characteristics from the outside. Which one is the good one? The consumer just doesn't know. So scaling up business, if you want to grow your business, you need to take advantage of the instruments of intellectual property which are put at your disposal worldwide for all to see.
Correct.
Now, how can the IP help it? It can also destroy, I would say.
Yes.
So IP can destroy your business if you're doing the wrong moves.
Absolutely.
Meaning that in IP you have a cost factor, which can be quite important. You think of patents, which can consume a lot of resources over time. It starts with a little, but it becomes big at the 20-year end of the story.
Yes.
But it can destroy you if you choose it to protect wrongly.
Correct.
Now you need to have a business strategy first. That is clear. So without a business strategy, you can't do business, right? You need to establish your business model and a strategy how to come to certain goals you put yourself out for. And that is the point here, the intertwisting element.
Correct.
The IP strategy must be based on the business strategy.
Absolutely.
So it has to take into account the business strategy. And otherwise, if a business goes there and the IP strategy protects you there, well, it may be destroyed by cost issues or by infringement issues, which you do not have any control over. So it is an important issue that the lawyer has an idea about the business strategy, which is in the mind of the business owner, of the entrepreneur.
Correct.
Otherwise, and often it is the case that entrepreneur comes to your practice and says, "Well, I want this trademark to be protected," and the IP lawyer says, "Okay, I will do it." And that was for 3 minutes. Some data is collected, and that's it. I think that is not the right way to deal with IP and business together. It must be that you want a holistic strategy. Absolutely. And it's not up to the business owner. It should not be up to the business owner to decide on the IP strategy. That is not his business, right? His business Absolutely. Is to create turnover and sales. So what is needed is a complement of both capabilities coming together. And then once a business strategy is clear to the IP guy, then it can be the evaluation can become with risk and reward with regard to the future of the business and the protecting of the IP strategy. Now, the bad news is that there is no one-fits-all IP strategy, as there are multiple business strategies around the world. So you may have a strategy to have a local market and a restaurant, or you may have a strategy of selling services around the world, or you want to have a short-term goal with selling some invention to sell out to your invention or you want a long-term innovation strategy, or you're in telecommunication, or you are in the fashion brands where different IP rights intervene, or you may and this is also an issue which often is not being addressed in public, but everybody should be aware of, is that there's a complementary of different IP instruments at the disposal of the business owner or of the IP lawyer in order to have a strong business protection.
Yeah.
Now, the complementarity may have an increase in money. So the cost issue, which is the one probably which is mostly applied from the business angle. Oh, it costs me a lot. Oh, this is terrible. And now I have every jurisdiction. It would be nice. We have one patent for the whole world. That would be, and they are talking about the global government. Perhaps one day we will have that. That would be bad news for lawyers. Do you agree?
Yes, still, definitely.
But still, the business owner, they will be happy to have this possibility. So the cost issue, which is their main angle with regard to IP approach, so to say, that is their IP approach, is wrong. It is not about the absolute cost. Oh, it cost me, I don't know, so many money or so many percentage of whatever. That is the wrong angle. What is the protection I get? I think that is the right question. And is there a better, efficient way, so a less costly way, in order to get the same protection? That would be the right question to the lawyer.
Correct.
So I would say if somebody comes to you, I want this trademark or this patent you file for in I don't know, in the European Union. That will be possible very soon as a global title. So the unitary patent. So if that is what is the only discussion among you as a lawyer and your client, I think that is not enough. That gives at the end a bad service to your client, and probably also a bad service to you, because you're not able to bind your client to you, because you know its business strategy, and you are the only one who can understand what is best for your client.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Gunther, I'll step in between here, because I think we'll just reiterate few points which you just mentioned and probably take it from there. I love the way that you mentioned that IP acts as a foundation for business. If foundation is weak, we might not be able to grow a business to a extent probably where we want to take it. Second is, I love the way you said that IP strategy works in consonance with business strategy. Like if we draft the business strategy first, then we need to have an IP strategy which complements the business strategy. I think that is very, very important. And some people fail to understand. Like, for example, you were just discussing the importance of IP strategy and why it should be based on a business strategy. Or, for example, why, if the client comes to us, we should discuss with the client what is the whole business about and then figure out whether what he's filing is correct or not. But sometimes what happens in market generally, when business owners or small business owners or SMEs they approach, they do not have a lot of budget, or they think it is a huge investment to, you know, put on IP. And probably at that point, they want to start with one trademark filing or one patent filing, and they are not looking at the holistic approach, which sometimes may act against them. And people in the market, the service providers might not just tell them that, this is the approach which is because of which you might fail. So if you're really considering you're building products in this area, probably you should have 5 trademarks. Or if you want to file a single trademark, it's best to file this trademark and not that one. Probably things like this. So do you think it is a good idea to clarify this to the inventors or the any business owner? And do they, second question is, do they accept our approach, or sometimes they come with the mindset, okay, if they are telling me to do this, probably they are the lawyer who want to earn a lot of money and they do not care about my business. But the thing is other way around. So sometimes we enter into the field with all love and care towards their business, and we want to tell them the right strategy, but they are not ready to believe us. So how do we take care of this situation and we work in, complement with the business owner?
Well, that is a very good question, and often you find situation where this is not being addressed correctly.
Correct.
The fact is that the business owner, the entrepreneur, has a poor understanding of IP.
Correct.
He has probably he has talked to a peer of his, to a pal, which says, well, the best would be to make a trademark or to make a patent filing or to make whatever it is. And that pal, he has all his trust, although not he has the right knowledge, right? So therefore he comes to the lawyer and says, I want that because I'm convinced that is the best way to deal with it.
Yeah.
But this is the worst situation you can imagine. And that's a bad recommendation for yourself to act like this in that situation, although he is convinced of it. How to get out of that situation? Very easy. You need to be informed, but you need to be informed about your rights, and you need to get a certain knowledge of the IP. Otherwise, you will be at the expense of whatever you hear. This kind from this happens on the stock market. You invest in stock market because you hear somebody has told you that is a good, and that is a bit like the same thing.
Günther, you're just speaking my heart. This has happened with me, like client coming to me and saying, my friend has told me this, that's why this is right for me.
And they trust them more than you because they don't know you.
Yeah.
But it should not be about trust. It should be about knowledge.
Yeah.
So he must have a knowledge, and in order to test you as a lawyer, that you understand his business model and he understands what are your questions or what your approaches with regard to the IP strategy. So the broad picture, he should have a clear idea after coming out from a conversation with you of what it brings to his business.
Correct.
And what is the strategy, what is the cost, what is the risk, and what is the rewards he will get out of it. So this is about so on my channel I have 3 levels of videos. One is for startups and business owners who want to have just a certain idea on IP, and level 2 would be those who are more interesting in IP, who has also already some IP portfolio consistently being built up, so they need to know a bit more. And
Correct.
then level 3, that would be for IP experts, so to say, for lawyers. That's about case law in Europe on landmark cases, which are important to know for the lawyers to advise their client in a correct way. So this is not for business. So the business owner, they should have a broad picture of what is IP, what can do IP for him, why does he need IP, what can happen if there is not any IP.
Wow.
There is a certain cost for it. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, you talked about the innovators, so the startups and those. Well, I have an idea. Nobody has it, and I will do it, and I will reap a big profit out of it.
Correct.
And these are probably not entrepreneur. That is just a engineer who knows much about these innovative items and the engineering issues, which I don't have any idea about. But he knows about a lot of that and focuses on just the business without much thinking about a certain protection. If you repass some interesting entrepreneur profiles, like was the initial part of Bill Gates when he founded Microsoft, or Apple when he found. So there were 2 or 3 at the beginning, and there were 2 or 3 engineers probably, but only one is left, right? What happened to the others? They didn't understand. They get out of business, but probably there is they didn't see the possibilities fast going forward, and now they are left with only a sad look in their eyes at the portfolio and at the money of Bill Gates or Jobs is dead already, but the heirs of Jobs.
So
now, interestingly enough, what can be done. So you have a client, for example, who is very much innovative but averted on cost issues. They don't like the cost, and they want to avoid at all costs the possibilities of going forward. The patents, that would be the most, the costliest, so to say, item here on the list, on the IP list. Is for innovations, right? Yeah. So any patent, any innovation need to have a certain patent. That in the iPhone there are some 2,000 patents or so. There's a whole lot of patents into it in the telecommunication industry, and standard essential patents, and well, that is other issues. But what I want to clarify here is there is a cheap possibility in order to not go for patents, and that would be a trade secret.
Yeah.
Now, secret is not costly in registration fees because you don't need to register it. It is just a secret you have. But there are strings which come to it. In a patent, no. It is you have a patent and it is registered there and documented and paid for and valid and whatever. You don't need to take much care of. But on a trade secret, you need to take care a lot of it because it is kind of a daily responsibility of you. You can't blame anybody else. Of you, the entrepreneur, in order to maintain its secret and not get into the open. Because once it gets into the open without malicious effects from the other part, but with negligence from your part, to I don't know, to an annoyed employee or to a subcontractor or whatever who comes into your office and gets wind of your customer list, which could be a trade secret, then it is open and it is out. So no damage possibility you have in order to get something back. It is cheap, but it is not so cheap. You should be aware of the consequences. There's no lawyer behind, there's no registry behind, but there is a possibility if you want to take it in that way as well.
Yeah, so Günther very rightly said that, we have patents on one side, then we also have trade secrets in which we do not spend a lot amount of money, but then our responsibility is increased because the pressure is on the business to protect it. So here I would like to ask, like, people who are starting up with their business or they have a business for some time now, but they do not have a right IP strategy or they do not have a IP strategy at all. So what do you think are the key elements they should put in their IP strategy when they are framing it so that, it will help the business growth?
Well, in innovative businesses where everybody's talking about startups, so this is an important issue probably, and you're in India, well, Florida, and there are a lot of things ongoing. Now, the business owner should be aware, if it is a startup or so, what they have is money problems. That is, they have a good idea, but they need to develop something, they need to show something, or they need to get some people in order to get to a kind of product, or they need money in order to pay these people, and they don't have the money, so they're looking about venture capitalists or some silent partners also in order to have something.
Correct.
Now, the possibility in order to get these funds, which is needed in order to get on the right track and on the road to get some wind behind you, is that the venture capitalist or the silent partner or those which want to sponsor you, they look what IP do you have? Because they want a moat. They want a moat over others. That's they know 90% of the startup they will fail, and they want to be on the right side of the 10%. Now, the 10% they have in common that they have a moat over the competition. The moat is that I have this product and you, competitor, and you, another competitor, even for another country, they cannot use it because it is my own right. It is the startup's right. And this gives them the possibility in order to show for something and require the money as a countermeasure. So to get the money in and to get on board the venture capitalist in your own venture. So if this is the situation, then the startup need to show for some IP in order to get this venture capitalist on board, because otherwise they would not be able to finance their own future. Even the banks, if you want from the banks. So what do you have? That's what they. What is your collateral? That's what they want to know. And if there's an IP, well, you have a collateral, you have something to show for. So this is an important thing to have in mind, not really for protection, but for providing the money in order to to have certain lifeblood and get the innovation going.
Yeah.
Now, at what point, being, you know, leaving aside that point, that kind of funding, what is it? At what point I should be taking care of IP as a startup? Well, is it the first day that I should file a trademark in order to get this done, or to make a I don't know, whatever design application, because I think I will design that thing and I will put it on paper, and then I make a design application, and then I think about, probably not. So it is not that you need to have from the first day of business your IP in place. No, you don't have a business model yet, you don't have a business strategy yet, you don't have a product yet, probably. So it is too early to think about. But the earlier you get the knowledge, it is about the knowledge of IP that you should get.
Yeah.
The earlier you get about the knowledge of the IP, the better you will manage, you will be able to manage your IP, well, IP strategy, which may be determined by an external lawyer, but in the beginning, probably it is determined by yourself. So you need to have a broad idea on what are the dangers around on the market. How can I avoid to lose my business idea? What is my innovative future product or potential product, in order to make the right choices? For example, if you have a design and you think this is a new design, I want to go for it, I want to market it, and you show it to others, and the other, what the first thing it does, he knows design is very easy to get. Design is very cheap to get. So I get the design, and you're lost. You have lost your design. It's not anymore new. Yeah. There's no novelty in there. So that is a knowledge business owner, they should know, because it can well, he can lose everything what he think he has for the whole future. That is my design, and this is very unique, and nobody has thought of it ever. And he wants to have a certain corroboration from a trusted friend, if you want, again. And turns out to know a lawyer, and it's gone. Or with a patent, same thing. The patent, one of the requirements for a patent is the novelty, right? Correct. So they don't know that something which is in Peru published, that might affect your own patent. You want to have it in Germany, correct, for example, because as a prior art, it's considered to be the prior art. So these are things, basic things, the big picture. Without talking to any lawyer for its own IP strategy, they should know about first, in order to get their own way right, and second, afterwards, you have already a certain idea on how to approach it, but you want to talk to a lawyer, to a professional, in order to see whether this is right, this is wrong, and you have an informed chat, because you know about IP already, and you can challenge probably one argument or the other argument, or this seems to be flawed for you, and you make you don't want to avoid to look stupid, right? Often in the university, I was in China, often university, to make some speaking there, and they never ask questions. And I think they never ask questions because they don't want to look stupid. But, well, there are not stupid questions, I always say it, but people feel differently. And when you have not sufficient or sound knowledge on certain IP, well, they said the professor or the lawyer, it says this and that, and you don't want to look stupid to put into question his assessment. It's a kind of often, and you have to avoid what is a patient doctor.
Correct.
The doctor tells you this is the medicine, and will you question it? No, you will not.
Wow.
Will you look into the in the prescription and what is inside and adverse effects? Will you look inside? Probably you never do. You never do. And should you do? Probably you should. Yeah.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes. I think people should do for their health as well, like for health, and this is the health of business.
There are good lawyers out there, and there are bad lawyers out there. Why not saying it? There are good doctors out there, and there are bad doctors out there, and there are good entrepreneurs on the market, and there are entrepreneurs which are less proficient or less good or less passionate or whatever. People are all different. And if you want to sell, you need to take care of the knowledge. It is knowledge-based. What is the society about, and which avoid traps in the future is the knowledge about future traps, right? If you know there's a hole within 10 meters, will you tap into the hole? No, you will not tap into the hole. You will go around, right?
Yeah.
That is about the situation here as well.
I love the way, Günther, you explained that even before IP strategy, it is so important to have knowledge on IP for an entrepreneur, because sometimes they just miss it. And as we just discussed, they'll take some opinion from their friends who have done something in their business, and then they think to our business also this is right. Probably because we are working in the same domain, but still small factors make a huge difference in IP. So having that IP knowledge, I think basics of IP is so important for entrepreneurs. Yeah. So Günther,
there's one thing, they should care also about the competition.
Correct.
So if you have a certain knowledge and you, with your business, you probably know your competitors, what are the strategy the competitors have?
Yeah.
And that could be a basic idea for yourself. What do they have? So if you want on reputation, if you want something you build, I want something everybody should know. Rolex. I have Rolex in my mind, and I want to have something being done as well. So that is reputation, right? Reputation needs a certain strategy on marketing. You have to build up the goodwill in the market, but that is very costly. But you need to know it before.
Yes, absolutely.
If you know it, you will avoid things which are coming into bad surprises in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Avoid bad surprises in future if you have right IP strategy and IP knowledge in the first place. So Günther, now we'll come to your life and questions about you. So this is our quick rapid fire round before we close down. So what are 3 things in life you're grateful for?
I'm sorry?
3 things in life you are grateful for.
What I'm grateful in life? Well, life has treated me quite good, I must say. So my family is naturally the center of my attention now, more than when I was in action, in real action, professionally. So my family was my support. I'm grateful for that, and I'm happy that I have 3 children. They have grown up very well. They're married, so they have their own life now. Although they come visiting me from time to time. So in summer they were here for at a full house for a month or so. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for health as well. Health is one of the issues you should be always aware of, because without health, well, what is your quality of life about? And I'm grateful for having encountered, having applied an open mind, and having encountered so much people from around the world. So from every person you can learn something. And from every person which has a different cultural background, you can learn even more. You can, my life has been questioned. When I was in China, it was turned around. When I thought, well, in the morning you should, you should intake some milk or coffee or so. Then I went to China. That is not the breakfast they take there. They never take it there. That is the first thing they tell you, that is bad for your health, etc. I didn't know that, but I was astonished that there is such different approach to life, which works as well as yours.
Yes, absolutely. So family, health, and people. Now we'll come to 2 traits that you think are useful for a professional career.
Traits.
Yeah, traits or habits. Anything.
Traits or habits, yeah. Oh, okay. So what is important is to have a certain routine in your life, I think. Well, what I applied, at least for me, it worked for me. I don't know whether it works for anybody else, but if it works for me, there's a good probability that it does. So routine in not too much hangover and not let you go, and no addiction, and you want to improve in your life. You get more knowledge in your life, more get to know other people, other approaches, and incorporate them or discard them. That is your choice afterwards. But you get to know the choice, operate the choice. If you don't know what is around there, so you don't operate in choice, you just think, well, that is what I know and that is what I do, and that's it. You have to question yourself through other person's judgments, through through books or through conversations or whatever it is, but to challenge yourself in what you think is right. And often we talk a lot here in Europe about the information society, and the information society is where the people that get their information from. We're talking about knowledge here, and the mainstream information, that would be my advice here, is not the most reliable one. Meaning that you get often into a certain narrative which sounds with you, which connects with your brain, but you don't. If you go deeper, you may challenge that. So it is the good idea for getting the knowledge is not to look at mainstream media and take in what they are telling you. No, it is. I wouldn't say to make just the contrary. I wouldn't go so far. But to challenge what is being repeated about from your friends in conversations, and you think, well, I have 10 friends and they're telling me the same. Well, they come from the same source. Comes from the same source. So it is only one who's telling you. Don't make the count like that, right? Look at different sources of knowledge, which gives you then a more sound possibility of judgment.
I love the way you explained that we should challenge every knowledge we gain and every information we gain, because they are coming from a source. And probably someone, I always believe someone in this universe, not God, but some real person in this universe is trying to trying to control the way in which I operate. So better I should question what I am doing.
Well, often they are trying to deceive you.
Correct, absolutely.
To deceive you in public, because there are interests,
Yes.
powerful economic interests behind to make a thing happen. And this powerful interest, economic interest, is badly to be shown in public. So it is hidden behind another narrative which connects with you, but you don't see the reality.
Correct.
You would living a fairy tale if you don't know the truth. So the pursuit of truth for me is an important issue.
Wow, awesome. And one aspiration you have for the future. What is one aspiration?
Well, I would for my own future, I just want to carry on what am I doing. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't expect much of my my own future. I'm on the way down already. I would say it is not anymore on the way up, but still I'm on a way to look more into the deception. General people, the general public, I would say. General public is, the general public is on, meaning that the polls, right?
Yeah.
Polls for the election polls and so on. The polls, that is something which for me has always sounded strange, because the polls are the reflection of the opinions of the people, right?
Yeah.
Now, the outcome of the polls, there are two manner to come to a desired outcome. One is to attack or to manipulate or to come to your public mind, to modulate your thinking, so to say. That is one thing, and the second issue is the question.
Yeah.
So at the end, it is something which has been manipulated.
Yes.
So we should not take this for granted.
Yeah.
So I want to go a bit more into the truth on what is going on the world stage.
And if you find out, do let us know. We'll be happy to know it.
Thank you for having me.
So Günther, any final thoughts before we conclude this?
Well, it is a real pleasure to talk to your audience, which is composed of Indian mainly, but you may go to globally at a certain moment, or it is open. Well, it is YouTube. It is open to the world. So the entrepreneur is the one who is doing the business, who is sustaining the country. Without business, the country would not exist, so to say. So what we see is a lot of bureaucrats. Not that I'm against a bureaucrat. I was an bureaucrat at a certain moment myself. But I think if more than 50% of the population is in government posts or so, I don't know whether that is the case in somewhere, but we are a bit on the way on that. I think we are distracting what would be our future. So the business should be aware of that, and it should be aware of also the government intervention, which should be, well, which is often not is well thought of, but in its effect, it has often the contrary effect, or it creates another problem along the way. So this is one thing where I would say to give to the people which have business to struggle for their business, to struggle for the intervention, for non-intervention of the governments, and to benefit mankind at the end. Also the lawyers. business if the business is flourishing, right?
Yeah.
They will not have business if the business is out. So
Correct.
we should dedicate more to the business people and get them the merit, rather than saying, well, he has made a lot of money, I will tax it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, I'll say awareness is the key. If we have right awareness, we'll be able to take better decisions.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because for business owners as well, it's all about the awareness they hold, and based on that, they make their own decisions.
Thank you very much for being with me and having me.
Thank you, Gunther. Thank you so much. I'm honored to have you on the show. And this session was full of learning for me as well. And I'm sure for my audience. Thank you for your time and your willingness to share.
My pleasure.
Hey there, thank you for attending today's session. If you enjoyed today's session, do follow our channel and consider sharing it with a friend. My name is Priggya Arora, daughter of inspiring parents, alumna of IIT Kharagpur, engineer turned lawyer and entrepreneur, and now founder of PA Legal, where we help creators and innovators protect their intellectual property. Thank you.